Yay, it says that I am live here. I'm going to try to share this out a little more because I'm being shadow banned and all of that fun stuff. Hopefully you are doing well. It's a beautiful day. It's really busy here. I kind of wanted to sit outside in front of Mount Shasta, but it is too hard to even see the mountains. So join me live now. I'm kind of in the middle of some debates on Facebook, so I need to shut down these tabs so that I don't get distracted. All right. Anyways, I have quite a few things that I wanted to talk to you about today. After I get off of Facebook, okay. The first thing I actually just briefly want to touch on is the active chess tournament that I still have going on here. We have Bong. Oops, that is not going to work. We have Bong and Sage playing in the final game of the knockout. Hopefully that works. Okay. My hair's going crazy today. Anyways. Okay. Not going to get distracted. I definitely like to get into it with people on Facebook and other places, especially if they are ready to learn. How's it going, Jabel? How are you today? I like your little picture there. It's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Hi, Kyle. How are you? With the family unit under attack. So we will get into that. But yeah, I pretty much already mentioned what I wanted to. Yes. Actually, I wanted to mention something that goes along with this family thing because I was thinking about it this morning. As many of you already know, I went to Ohio recently, and my cousin's son, who we now know is your first cousin once removed, right? Cousin's son is your first cousin once removed, yes. Hey, Nezzy, how's it going? So my first cousin once removed asked me to make a vegan meal while I was visiting, and he specifically asked for me to make macaroni and cheese and sloppy joes. So I'm like, okay. Well, I bought all the ingredients and went over to my aunt's house to put all of this stuff together, and I told her in advance that I was going to be engaging with the children. I'm like, I want to see if they will cook with me and how well they do. So I had a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old helping me by myself, helping me in the kitchen to make this meal. And it was definitely a really, really fun experience. But at one point, I really couldn't even think straight because there were 3 of them. There's one of me. I'm trying to think of what the recipes are and figure out how I can divide up the jobs so that they can all do something. Like, they were all very proficient in using, scraping and peeling the vegetables. They all were actually really good with sharp knives. But I had 3 children with these knives. I'm just like, oh, what is happening right now? It was really chaotic. And the worst of it actually was we were putting together some bread. I was making some homemade bread, and I accidentally boiled 2 cups of water instead of just 1. And so I didn't have enough flour in the bowl. And so I have my hands in it. The 3-year-old has his hands in it. The 4-year-old has her hands in it. And obviously, because I had too much water and not enough flour, it's just like this doughy mess. And at one point, the 3-year-old little boy, it's already a mess all over him. And at one point he looks at me, and then he just is onto my arm, both of his hands just covered in dough right on my arm. Like, no, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, it was a blast. Yeah, it was a really, really fun experience. And I'm really happy that I got to reconnect with my family. And no one got hurt at all. Xanada, how are you doing? They weren't like the sharpest knives, but yeah, they were definitely sharp enough to cut a carrot with, and I was supervising them. This is something that More recently, I discovered Montessori, which is, Montessori was a person who developed a method of raising children, and that incorporated, having child-sized furniture and knives and kitchen utensils and stuff that they can use on their own to help them become, as independent as possible whenever they are ready, as soon as they are ready to do it, so that they are, just more confident in the world. And that's something that I'm going to be implementing with my own children. So I don't see a problem if, I'm watching them and they are doing okay, then I'm going to let them do what they're able to handle. So yeah, that was really, really fun experience. Never actually tried to cook with children before. To have 3 of them at one time was definitely fun. Anyways, Jabel says, awesome sauce, taste of a mom. Yes. My aunt walked in and said, you have the patience of a saint. Yes. So, hey, verified user, ... What's going on? How is the baby fever? Let's not even go there, because I have to constantly fight off the baby fever. And being in situations like that definitely don't help, because it makes me want my own children even more. Like, I want to be able to, not necessarily 5, 4, and 3 years old. Like, that was definitely something that was a handful, to say the least. But to have my own children is, something that I'm constantly, even if I found the right guy, it's like the world is a mess right now, and it's run by the people that are in charge, they are pedophiles, they are inverts, they are child corrupters, and they use like a CPS, the child pimping services, to come in and take children from parents like me who will refuse to vaccinate. I'm going to refuse to go along with all of their, everything. I don't see a point in any of it. I want to be as natural as possible, starting from the beginning. Like, I'm not going to go see doctors. They're not going to be involved in my pregnancy. Like, home birth, not anything to do with their system at all. So the people like me are at the highest, of their target list. And even further than just that, I want my child to be holy from the womb. So anything innocent in this world, they will seek to corrupt them even more, just because they're corruptors and it's something innocent. The more innocent something is, the more desperately these jerks want to corrupt it. So irritating. Verified user says they should wear gloves when they cut. There are some gloves that they do make for cutting, but we obviously didn't have any of those for the children. And as far as Montessori goes, they actually have some different knives. It's really, really busy here today. They have some wooden knives that are easy for cutting fruit and stuff like that, which I am planning on, extended breastfeeding, and then having my child just, the child is a blank slate. So if you don't start feeding them junk, then they're going to be perfectly happy consuming the diet that our creator intended for us. And them being perfectly happy is awesome. But for me as a mom, it's like, I know my own struggles with food and how hard it is for me to give up like eating cooked junk food and to eat only fruit as I know that I'm supposed to. So if I can spare my future children from having to fight off these demons and, struggle with this, then I believe as a good mom that that's what I should do. And it's, obviously I'm going to have people say, oh, your children, they don't have a great life because they're not allowed to eat cake. It's like, that cake, not only is it like, it's a fueling diseases, it's making you fat. It has chicken periods in it. It has cow's tit secretions in it. Like, my child is not going to be degraded in this manner to have that stuff pass his lips. Like, didn't mean to really get off on a vegan rant here, but yeah. When is the last time you ate a bacon cheeseburger? Actually, this place in Reno is fully vegan. It's called House of Mexica, I believe. They have some really delicious vegan nachos, which is really usually what I get when I go there. But they have a bacon lovers burger that I have tried before. I personally never was into bacon before. It's the closest thing that you can eat to eating human flesh. Like, I don't know, from a really young age, bacon always really repulsed me. Like, the smell is just really disgusting. So I've not ever been chasing that, bacon taste as a vegan either. But anyways, their version of the burger is very good, and I definitely would suggest to anybody that goes through Reno to stop at that place. It's family owned, and they're really nice. Did I miss anything else in here as I'm going down? Anywhere near Dublin, Ohio? Let's see where that is. I was in Northeast Ohio. I was a little bit south of Youngstown, so don't even. It says it's about 90 minutes away or so from where I was. So, anyways, did you turn vegan or were you raised vegan? I unfortunately was not raised vegan, and I was raised with the mentality of God gave us food to eat. I was raised in a biblical, a family. My dad went to Oral Roberts University. He was a pastor, going to a Christian school and all of this stuff. So we were heavily indoctrinated to believe that God gave us animals to eat. And my family is still in that mentality, and that really, really is devastating to me. I didn't necessarily want to get into this. Like, my dad is a really amazing guy, other than that he's not vegan. Like, growing up, he was like the ideal role model for what I would say a godly guy would look like. And the fact that he's not vegan really, really, really just like hurts me at a core level. So yeah, I want to keep these people on pedestals, but it's kind of hard when their actions don't align with, I know at a soul level that they don't agree with what they're doing, but they have been manipulated through all of these things. And of course, there are addictions that are attached with these behaviors to continue in this lifestyle. And it's really hard. I actually asked my dad, would you be okay with like actually killing it yourself? Like, if you had to do it from start to finish, would you be able to do it? Because I personally wouldn't have been able to do that even as an animal eater. Like, I'm not going to kill Bambi, or Bambi's mom, whatever. And then even just killing it alone is a problem. But then to like take it and take its skin off and like start to take its body parts out, like, oh, I just lost my appetite. I'd rather not even eat that. But anyways, yeah, he was trying to tell me this story about how he went hunting and was praying to God to bring him a deer. And I'm just like, well, God hates hands that shed innocent blood. And you praying to God doesn't necessarily mean that God's the one that's answering your prayers, especially when you're asking for something that is against what the Creator wants. But anyways, he started talking about, he was getting into the story and he was almost ready to kill this deer. And I had to get up from the table. Like, I just couldn't sit there anymore. Really sad. Anyways, ultimately what got me to go vegan in the first place was I was researching Passover and really into following the Torah and figuring out within the biblical parameters, what God's will was for us. And this festival of Passover is supposed to happen forever and ever. It doesn't say do this ritual until Jesus comes to stop it. It says do this ritual forever and ever. And for me, forever and ever means forever and ever, not till a few hundred years from now and then it stops, right? So anyways, I was researching Passover and all of this whole concept of going out and getting an animal and then bringing it into your care and then, taking good care of it for so many days and then slaughtering it is like that. Even as an animal eater, really, I had a problem with it. And then I kept studying and I eventually found the Essenes. I believe that I was led by God to the Essenes, and they were a sect of Jews. So they have a lot of the same beliefs, but they were against all of the animal sacrifices. They didn't believe in killing. They believed in, actually abstaining from evil and taking actions to purify oneself rather than to, just believe that somebody died for your sins and continue on living just as you've lived for your whole life anyways. We're actually responsible for our own actions, our own sins, and that is where I'm coming from. So I have to take responsibility for my actions. There's nothing that's standing between me and God to protect me. And that's how I personally want it. Like, I want to be able to stand in front of my Creator without problems. He is outside of this realm and looking at us, and he sees everything. He sees our intent. He sees the world that we are in and how we are specifically targeted by demons to specifically lead us astray, each person having their own different, proclivities and issues, if you will. He sees all of that and can take that into consideration when he judges us. So there's no reason for this mediating in between. And when I started to wake up and accept responsibility for my actions, that's when, you actually become a good person. You're not relying on some other person to cover your sins. And by the way, the Old Testament says multiple times that nobody can die for the sins of another. So yeah, I brought a few books here today. The Gospel of the Holy 12 I actually brought with me, and Lection 33 goes into this and says that no blood offering of beast or bird or man can take away sin. For how can the conscience be purged from sin by the shedding of innocent blood? Nay, it will increase the condemnation. And it definitely goes on more into detail, but that is where I am coming from in my beliefs, and that ultimately is why I'm vegan. In this book, it also says, I just quoted it earlier, where'd it go? Not that one. Verily I say unto you, they who partake of benefits which are gotten by wronging one of God's creatures cannot be righteous, nor can they touch holy things, or teach the mysteries of the kingdom, whose hands are stained with blood, or whose mouths are defiled with flesh. God giveth the grains and the fruit of the earth for food, and for righteous man truly there is no other lawful sustenance for the body. There's multiple texts that talk about how, deviating from God's plan and participating specifically in eating flesh can bind us with these demons that our soul is getting bound to at a core level. And when we die, if we are still bound to those demons, you think that you're going to go to heaven being bound to demons? Like, there has to be some sort of separation that happens to cut you off from there if you are trying to go up. And it is not a painless experience. Like the verses that I've read before from my video called How to Become Immortal, talk about the fire that is waiting for the purification fire. And that's how we are separated from these demons. We're passed through this fire, and it is even worse than burning alive, because when you're burning alive, like, our Creator made it so that your pain receptors at some point actually turn off so that you stop, having that pain. Your soul doesn't have that. So after this world, getting cut off from those demons is a lot harder and a lot more painful than if you just do it right now and, stop being a clown. All right. Let me see what's going on. Hi, Michael. How are you? What's your secret to winning at chess? That's a good question. Well, if you simply start to triple check your moves, that's going to help you a lot, because most people start to blunder, and it sounds really, really obvious, but if you just double check your moves, triple check your moves, you're going to start to win a lot more, because it's a really obvious thing. But anyways, I also play the Ananian opening, and especially when you're trying to play blitz and people are not used to your opening, it gives you an edge as well. They're like, what the heck is going on? I've not seen this before. So yeah. Also, I would suggest to practice a lot of puzzles and, take your time to make sure that you get it right. If you are, let me put this link in here for you. Check out. That's not it. Here you go. For the people that are new, this can help you to learn how to checkmate with various pieces and all of that fun stuff. So, anyways. Robert says, my family was never a unit. LOL, good to see you. How's it going, Robert? I am really sorry to hear that. I am very grateful to say that my parents are still together, and my family unit in general is pretty strong. And I do think that having a faith in God, is a big factor in that. And yeah. Hi, Bomb the Clack, Gaddowfish. How's it going? Verified user says he would have green eyes. Are you talking about my future child? That would depend on what color eyes his father has. Robert says, sweetheart, you have to plant a seed and let God deal with them. I agree. Verified user says, and lives in Redding, California, and I'm getting a channel that where your one is. What? What are you? I'm not really sure what you're saying about Redding, but yeah, Redding's about an hour south of me or so, something like that. All right. I'm going to get off of the chat room and get on to talking about the family unit in a second. People who got executed in prison wrongfully convicted died for people's sins. I wonder how much of that is true. And yeah, I question everything in our reality. Pretty much all I've seen are inverted clowns, so I don't think it's real. As far as people being wrongly executed, wrongfully convicted and executed, I obviously know that and there are real humans in it, but when it comes to the powers that be, they know that karma is real. So when they're going to be doing any executions or any, like if they're actually going to take a life, then they go about different ways to make sure that they don't get any bad karma on themselves. Usually the powers that be send in real humans to do it, like wars. Each country goes and spreads their propaganda within their country, and then all of the real humans at the bottom go and get sent to go and kill each other. Meanwhile, the people at the top that are actually causing all of these problems are sitting back and laughing at us. Like, anyways, hey Marvin, how's it going? I mean, the verified user, you're talking about my father. My dad does have green eyes, yes. My mom has brown eyes. Well, my dad has hazel eyes. Technically, we have hazel eyes, but yeah. I question this reality as well. Pretty much everything that we were taught from the start was an inversion of the truth. Thankfully, I was raised in a Christian home, so I was taught from the beginning that God is real. I was taught that we were created. They did try to combine the globe Earth deception with the biblical narrative, which doesn't even logically make sense. If you read the Bible, it clearly talks about how there is these waters and this firmament separates the waters, like creating a dome in the midst of the waters, and we're inside of that. Every single ancient culture and religion talks about us living in this enclosed realm, and they describe a cosmic ocean. So the waters that are described in Genesis makes a lot more sense to me in that manner, that we're in this, what the Beatles refer to as the yellow submarine, inside of these cosmic waters and inside the cosmic ocean. And the firmament is above us, this dome. We're on land that was called out from the waters below, floating on a honeycomb of explosive gases that Yah could ignite at any time if he wanted to. And that's how other giant continents like Mu and Atlantis and all of these things are easily sunk, because of this mechanism. But anyways, not to scare anybody, but we're living under a sky of water that could easily drown us, and we're living on water, on land that has explosive gases underneath that could easily sink us. But hey, nothing to worry about because God's in control, right? Anyways, still more safe to me than being on a giant spinning ball whirling through infinite space. God bless Mount Shasta. I agree. Your future baby's father has green eyes. I don't know. And he's in Reading. Okay. Are you talking about yourself? Chad's here. Slow mode. Why no fasting mode? Well, I get what you're saying with fasting. But I put the slow mode on because I've had people come and spam my chat before, and I wanted to be able to take care of that. But I obviously get your fasting joke and look forward to next week's dry fast, which is a thing that I do for purification on the Sabbath, and encourage other people to join in as well. No worries. All right, I was going to move on to talking about the family unit, which is a beautiful display under Jabel's picture here, with the parents holding up the umbrella and protecting their children, which is how the family unit should be, parents protecting their children. But instead, we have so many different attacks starting from birth, trying to disconnect mother and her child with unnatural birthing processes. And then, it just gets worse from there. How often do mothers quit their jobs or, whatever to actually raise their children? Usually the father has to work, the mother has to work, and the child gets sent off to the state to be raised. And if you haven't wised up by now, like the powers that be have pedophiles running the schools. Like, those are the kinds of creeps who flock to professions where they can groom your children and teach them this LGBTQ PBR nonsense. And it's extremely terrifying that people don't realize that this is the situation that we're in. I follow on Instagram, like teachers of Instagram and stuff, and it's constantly posting inverts. Like, how many inverted pedophiles are in schools right now grooming children? And let me back up before that. Before you even have a mother and father, these two separate entities, like you have a baby boy over here who is born, and as soon as possible, pornography is shoved down his throat so that he becomes a sodomite clown. And on this side, we have the little girls who have this Disney programming to try to find Prince Charming, this, we see in the movies, these really soft-eyed, soft-faced little, like, emotional guys in the movies that get teary-eyed and all of this stuff, which is completely unrealistic. And on this side, you have the MTFs that are completely over-sexualized in the perverted category, pushing sodomy and just really hyper-aggressive degeneracy, right? So it's a completely different programming for both sexes from the beginning, so that what they are programmed to look for, they're not going to find. And they're just left disappointed, and most likely just, in Satan's eyes, hopefully they'll all just turn to each other and be homosexual, right? Because the girls are unhappy with the guys, because the guys are programmed by pornography to be sodomite clowns looking for something that girls don't want. And it's just a big mess. And obviously that doesn't stop when you're married either, right? Those guys that are going into the marriage with the pornography programming, the girls have been desensitized at this point to say, oh, it's okay if my boyfriend is masturbating to pornography and doing all this other stuff. That's perfectly normal. And when it's not only is pornography, all of these porn stars that you're looking at male, you're homosexualizing yourself and sexually binding yourself to other dudes who are sodomizing each other. Kind of lost my train of thought after that. I got a little intense there. Like, it's just a whole corrupt experience. And when you are sitting there masturbating over these inverts, like, in a relationship, especially, like, that is cheating. You might as well actually be having sex with the person if you are doing that, that act. Anyways. Hey, actually, how's it going? I need to settle down from that little rant. I transvestigate everybody, so when they're walking by. All right, let's see what's expat man. It's an interesting name. Why does God allow his creation to continue to be lied to in this clown world of decline? Well, ultimately, Yah allows free will, and the reason for this reality to exist is for wisdom, to generate wisdom. Well, ultimately, that's why Sophia does it. This world exists also to give our souls something to do. We're these eternal beings, and coming in here and having your mind wiped and getting to go through childhood and fall in love and have babies and all of this fun stuff. It's like it helps the soul that is going on to not die of boredom. But anyways, ultimately why Sophia is physical matter is to seek wisdom, and you can't really have an environment where you don't allow free will to get wisdom, right? In the Garden of Eden, there's only so much wisdom that can be gained. There needs to be something else that happens, some other thing to change the storyline so that we can see, okay, well, the creation acts this way in this perfect little Garden of Eden, but when we take them out of this perfect little Garden of Eden, what happens here? What happens when they're in this world of corruption? How do they act? So this bringing about wisdom is one of the reasons why God does allow free will, and, we manifest our own reality. So it's basically like we were given this beautiful, perfect Eden, and instead we chose to live as humans are living now, right? They would rather forego the beautiful Garden of Eden so that they can taste the flesh of the innocents. And our Creator is looking down on this too, and there's other species that have been pushed out of the way to, have humans be center stage. God has made other species throughout time, and they were once center stage before humans. So all of these other species are looking at humans eating Tide Pods and living horrible, just evil lives. And, God, why did you replace us with those clowns? You see how bad they are. They don't even know which way's up. They think they live on a giant spinning ball. They think they're pond scum. They spit in your face. They call you Sky Daddy. I hate that. And all of this, all of this stuff to make humans look even worse in the eyes of our Creator. And some of us came here to put an end to that madness and actually get humans to stop being clowns, because it is pretty much an embarrassment to be a human at this point in time. And it doesn't have to be. It's all due to the programming and the influence of these negative entities that are influencing us to become this way. And usually they are referred to as demons. And it's not that these are a specific species of creation. It is like angels versus demons. There are angels, which are extensions of Yah with no free will. They are beings of light, and they are different than the species that usually is named angels, usually is named demons, which are the jinn, smokeless fire beings that were created by Yah, and they live a really, really long time. They are geniuses. They are extremely gifted. Some of them can shapeshift. Compared to humans, they see themselves as extremely superior. And objectively speaking, they have a lot of attributes that we don't. But humans also have, the innocence that they don't. And babies are just so precious. And then the jinn will say, oh, we could be that too. But that's not their true form. So anyways, my point is that these other species can have a spitefulness towards humans and act in a demonic fashion, a negative fashion. But just like them, humans can act in a demonic fashion towards the animals. Do you think that the cows that are on their way to slaughter for you think that you're an angel? Or do you think that they think that you are the devil himself? Perspective. these entities, for the vast majority of demons, they are well aware that karma is real, that their actions have a consequence. So they try to work within these mechanisms so that they don't get bad karma on themselves while doing what they want to do to us. So if you go out and do any sort of evil, there's a certain amount of evil that is due unto you, and they are there to step in and be that bad, that karma for your actions. And they don't see themselves as evil, they see themselves as the hero. Like, you went out and you killed a cow, and now they're inflicting you with a tummy ache. Like, they are the hero in that situation because you went out and you did evil. Like, anyways. Hi Sage, how are you doing? We were just talking about you and your chess game. It's very impressive. You and Bong are still going at it, and we look forward to the outcome of the game. Kyle says where this world is headed is terrifying. Absolutely. The thing is, though, that we have the power to change it, and that is really empowering. But then at the same time, it's like we need humans to wake up and actually to join forces with us. And most humans have their head in the sand. They really couldn't care less about the truth of our reality. They're fluoridated. It's just, why does the truth matter, right? How many times have you heard a globetard say, why does it matter what the shape of the earth is? Like, I've never heard a flat earther say that. For me, it changed everything. I know people also that changed even more dramatically because they were atheists before they found out that we don't live on a giant spinning ball. So for them, going from an atheist to believing in God, that is a huge change. For me, I already believed in God, but it did solidify my relationship with him and really made a special connection. I think that people that don't believe in the truth of our reality, I don't believe that they have it fully. Chad says, God just gave us Eden. This is what we did with it. Yep. Hey, Yusuf, how are you doing? I'm about to go to sleep. It's good to catch you live. Enjoy. Thanks you for joining, and I hope that you have a wonderful night's sleep. Kyle says, every day. I'm not sure what you're... Plaid Panther says, did you ever put out the Transvestigation video of Natalie Portman? I actually was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, somebody asked me to do a Transvestigation of Natalie Portman. I'm not going to put out a video. I'm going to put out a picture of me standing next to Natalie Portman so you can see who has the female flaring hips. And I actually have the meme. I'm scrolling through right now. I ended up wanting to put a poem at the bottom of it, and then I ended up not writing the poem, so it kind of got sidetracked. Wow, this is a lot of... I use a PowerPoint to make all of my memes, and this is Megan Fox. Okay. Yeah, for anybody who's interested in making their own memes and stuff, PowerPoint is really awesome at that. Here it is. All right, I'll leave this up so that I can finish it when I get home today. I don't feel like doing a bunch of Transvestigation videos on random celebrities. I don't want my page flooded with that, and I don't really believe that that's how we should go about transvestigating. The people that follow Mr. E, the inverted shill mystery, it's not a mystery. We know what you are. You are an invert. The bug eating clown puts out different Transvestigation videos for every different celebrity, and then doesn't, if they don't put one out for a certain celebrity, the people don't know what to do. So for me personally, I think that it's more important to teach how to transvestigate in general. Like I do my Transvestigation 101 video, so that you actually have an understanding of what to look for, and you can look for yourself for these different biomarkers rather than needing to be spoon-fed for every single little person out there. But yeah, I'll post that after I'm done. Hey, Queen, I am doing well at a second family gathering and chess over the board. Woohoo! Bong is a formidable opponent. Yes. That's really cool that you are playing chess over the board with your family. And yes, Bong is a formidable opponent. There's actually some in the spiritual world that are calling him GM Dabu. So it'll be interesting to see if what they are saying in the spiritual world aligns with the reality that is manifest in the physical. Chad says, but I still have to go to work. What does it matter? Exactly. Kyle said, every day to the how often do you hear that it doesn't matter the shape of the earth? Yes. Okay. Sorry, it's kind of hard when the chat is so much more lagging than my rant. Black Panther says, did you see the NP in the professional? You previously claimed she's an invert from birth. Oh, Natalie Portman. Yeah, they're all inverted from birth, but no, I have not seen the professional. There was a post posted in my group. I'm not sure if it was from that or not, but anyways, what about the professional? Flat accord music. How's it going? People who do that usually do really incomplete research, in my opinion. The chat is not aligned with what the topic that we're talking about, so I'm trying to piece together what you are what you're talking about. But it's really interesting on this flat earth subject to, like, I came to flat earth through the Bible. Like I was saying before, I at one point was really into the Bible, and I'm like, I need to figure out what I believe because I believe it, not just because my parents told me to believe this stuff. Like I can't go to put my life on the line to be a martyr for something that somebody else told me that I don't believe at a core level. So I really needed to solidify my faith, and I started with the Gospels, and then, reading through the Gospel, I'm like, the Christ was a Torah follower. So if I want to claim that I follow the Christ, I need to do what the Christ did, which is in turn follow the Torah. And so, yeah, that kind of led me on my awakening journey. And I also woke up to flat earth at the same time. In Genesis 1, like I was saying, it describes this enclosed realm that we are living in. And so does every other ancient culture and religion. So it wasn't just that it was their interpretation of the reality or anything. Like, the ancients were far more connected than we are today. Everything is reversed. So it's like the first humans were the most intelligent, the most connected, the most everything. And over time, we have gotten worse. And there's been deliberate agendas to dumb us down to, not only with fluoride, but everything that we see. It's like the media that we're exposed to is like the reality TV shows. How stupid is it? The cartoons like Family Guy and all of these stuff where the dad is like really, really stupid, right? All of this different programming to dumb us down and to make us the worst versions of ourselves possible, when the opposite could be the reality that we're in. We could have programming that makes humans better, that helps us to achieve new heights in intellect rather than the lows that we are experiencing now, where people are eating Tide Pods. Why am my energy bad right now? I'm not sure why your energy is bad, but maybe you can go out and do some grounding and put your bare feet in the soil and let it all go out. Jabel says he was a Freemason like his father, Joseph. If you mean Freemason as in a builder, I would definitely jump on board with that. But I believe that they were Essenes, and that was, that's the Christ that I choose to follow. I know that there are some people that, they want to die on the hill that Christ didn't exist or all this or all that. Like, personally, my belief doesn't rely on him having existed, but I do believe that he did exist. The people that, believe that he is their savior, obviously they need to have him exist for their whole belief system to be anything. I don't have that issue, but I don't see myself ever going away from the Christ programming and believing that he is real and was real, and that he came to show us the way. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to circle back to talking about the family unit, because all of these different agendas are targeting humanity to make us the worst versions of ourselves possible, and make a family unit not go together, right? Causing division between mother and father, causing division between the parents and the children, all of these different agendas. And during the golden age, that's not going to be the case. I'm very, very family oriented and passionate about making sure that people can stay home and raise their babies and not be raised by pedophiles and, all of that stuff. The world doesn't have to be this hell that we have and the struggle to make ends meet. It can be a world where, just like the stories that you hear in the Bible, where people, had all of this land and they had their families living here, and everybody just lived in peace and harmony and did what they did. Like, there wasn't this 9-to-5 struggle to make ends meet and all the stuff that we are experiencing today. Jabel, if you guys read The Lost Continent of Mu, Motherland of Man by James Churchward, in chapter 8, it talks about the religion of man, and it actually talks about, here's this, let me see, it talks about Freemasonry being a religion on the lost continent of Mu and how they worshipped the great architect of our realm. And I can see how that would be the case and how it has been infiltrated and corrupted over time. That's pretty much the MO of Satan, is to see humans starting something. Oh, there's a group of, especially a group of, Yah worshipers that are also balanced in this worship, and let's go in and mess things up. And then the inverts are sent in, and things over time get corrupted and inverted and perverted, and that's what we see today. So it's really interesting to kind of look back and read some of the other stuff that's not necessarily demonizing Freemasonry, but talking about how it originally wasn't the way that it is. And I personally am really passionate about finding the origins of things, of signs and symbols and hand gestures and all of these things, to find out their original meaning, because I know that there's this overall, agenda of inverting things that were once good, inverting them, perverting them, demonizing them, and then Satanists using them to, push us even farther away from these signs and symbols. So Flat Accord Music says, I saw the social engineering attack the family unit via getting mine and my parents' generation thinking that we all need to move to different cities. That's what happened. Yes. And in general, people being pushed into cities rather than having, their own farms or their own land. When I say farms, I'm not talking about raising animals. I'm talking about raising food. Being self-sufficient and all this stuff. And then we're programmed with this mentality of, we need to get into the big cities and rise up on the corporate ladder and all of that stuff. And especially when it gets targeted at women and they fall for it. It's like, if they could get the father and the mother out of the house so that the children is all up to them, like, you can just kind of see they're like predatory chompers just chomping at the bit for your. Terrifying. Marvin says RH negative or RH plus. I'm not sure what you mean, but A, B, and positive are the original code of Yah's creation. When I say creator, whatever you want to call him, and the A, B, and positive bloodlines his other species. The O and negative do not. And if you have a combination of the two, being partially of Yah's design and partially hybrid, and I'm not saying this to be negative to anybody who has O or negative blood. Like, I don't even know what my own blood is. So, like, I could be in that group, but I don't know yet. I don't trust anybody with my blood or my DNA to tell me what I am. There's not some, like, damnation that comes from not being fully human in, if you're born into a family that's not fully human, God's not going to say you are automatically going to hell because of it. It's like, not really even. Sorry, kind of like just slipped back into old religious thinking too. I'm not really sure about all of the... Anyways, let's just move on. What I'm trying to say is that your actions are what matters. Your actions are what you're judged by, not by your DNA. Yeah. I actually just posted about this. Let me put the link here for anybody that's interested, and we can continue the conversation off of here after I get off of here. Okay. It's quite a time at least. Okay. I'm not even sure that they'll let me post this link that's so long. Okay. Anyways, so we talked about demons, we talked about chess, and we talked about the family. And I actually wanted to read a little excerpt from this scroll that I was reading called The Holy Law, 2:11. Okay. We invoke the spirit, conscience, and soul of the children of light who teach the law, who struggle in the kingdom of darkness to bring the light of the law to the sons of men. We bless that victory of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, which make strong the foundations of the kingdom of light. Let the sons of men who think, speak, and do all good thoughts, words, and deeds inhabit heaven as their home. And let those who think, speak, and do evil thoughts, words, and deeds abide in chaos. Purity is for man next to life, the greatest of good. That purity is in the holy law, which maketh grass to grow upon the mountains, and maketh clean the hearts of men, with good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. Clean shall be the fire, clean the water, clean the earth, clean the stars, the moon, and the sun, clean the faithful man and the faithful woman. To obtain the treasures of the material world, O sons of men, forego not the world of the law. For he who, to obtain the treasures of the material world, destroyeth in him the world of the law, such an one shall possess neither force of life nor the law. But he who walks with the angels and who followeth the holy law, he shall obtain everything good. He shall enter the eternal sea where standeth the tree of life. The communions of the law are perfect, converting the soul from darkness to light. The testimony of the law is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the law are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the law is pure, enlightening the eyes. The truth of the law is clean, enduring forever. Let the children of light triumph everywhere between the heavens and the earth. Woo! Anyways, this is from the Essene Gospel of Peace. This book actually has the Essene Book of Peace 1, 2, and 3 in it. I've read through book 1 before on my channel, so if you haven't seen that, I definitely encourage you to. I don't believe that any text that we can get our hands on is without corruption, and this is certainly no exception to this, and I talk more about that in the book, or in the video that I actually read it. So if you want to know more about that, then go ahead and jump in. Plaid Panther says, I bet Inanna is O negative. I don't know, but I know that objectively speaking, O negative tend to be more intelligent and, more talented, and just... There were a lot of things that the Jinn particularly shapeshifted into human form to impregnate human females. They're often misnamed fallen angels. They're not angels, as we discussed before. They are angelic beings, which sometimes, angel gets used as a term to lump together a bunch of different species, which is not technically true. So anyways, these Jinn that shapeshifted into human form, some obviously wanted to make monsters with 6 fingers and 6 toes and double rows of teeth. But others were not focused on that, but actually improving on God's design. So they wanted to take what was innocent and gullible, and not necessarily gullible, but kind of. I mean, it's kind of goes with the innocence, right? Like a child is innocent and they don't have a suspicion. I was gonna say suspect, or yeah, that didn't really come out right, but they don't have a suspicion that their parents are gonna lie to them. They don't have this, this feeling that their teacher might be lying to us. They just believe anything that they're taught. You can convince a child that Santa Claus gets in a sleigh and rides around the whole earth on Christmas Eve, or the Tooth Fairy, or all of these things. That is one of the things that these Jinn were trying to get away from. They're trying to get humans away from the naivety or however you say the word, and get them to be more intelligent, more cunning, and more like them. So as the story goes, the creation of humans was revealed by God in the heavens, and Satan refused to bow to this clay statue of Adam, and his mentality was that he was a better creation than that. So why is he going to bow to something that he sees as inferior? This is not only like Satan is a being of smokeless fire. He can shapeshift into any form that he wants. He is one element, whereas humans are many. He can live for, there's not really a time limit on how long Jinn can live, as long as this physical existence stays in existence, right? If the firmament came down, there wasn't anywhere for them to hide, they wouldn't be able to, continue existing, but otherwise they can. So they didn't bow down to Adam, and when they were going in to impregnate human females, some of them were thinking, well, let's have offspring that can actually make humans worth bowing to. And then we have the men of old, the men of renown, whatever, and ultimately the clowns that are running our world today. We have these giants, even like Andre the Giant that's what their name literally is. But these inverted clowns that are running our world, they say, well, how can these NFL stars be female? Well, because they're female giants. They're not normal humans. You can't judge them as if you are judging a normal human, because that's not what they are. Yes. Plaid Panther says, wanted to get anyone to believe anything, put it in the news with a quote, a new study reveals, or scientists now say, or the good old experts explain. Yes, follow the science wherever it goes. Don't question the science. Yeah, of course. Thankful for you guys who have, seen past these agendas, especially and more recently with all of this COVID madness and the mask craziness and all of the jab happy people. It's really nice that we are able to connect through these manners to find some sanity in this world with like-minded people, because finding people in real life is not easy, especially in Mount Shasta, you would think that the meeting place of heaven and earth would have all of these really enlightened beings and people that are on the right path. And unfortunately, it's the complete opposite. Understandable, because the corruptor knows that corrupting this really important spot is going to have an effect on the whole world. So focusing on that is one of his focuses, and that's actually why I am here, because by focusing on purifying one location, we can also have the opposite effect by purifying the rest of the world, which is easier said than done, especially because humans would rather sit and eat bacon and continue living in this hell than to give up their bacon. If only half of humans, listen to what I'm saying, if only half of humans would go vegan right now, we could stop the New World Order and make this world a paradise. The fact of the matter is that humans are fueling the New World Order by their daily decisions. 3 meals a day. How many dead corpses? You go get how many chicken wings were in your bucket? Well, chickens only have 2 wings. So how many birds had to die for you to eat that? You don't think that there's going to be any retribution for your sins? That's evil. Hi, Strider Wins. Moot Empire. Hope all is well with you. Yes, I am doing well and having a wonderful day. Thank you. Plaid Panther says sudden adult death syndrome. Yes, I have technically have still. I mean, his soul is still in existence, but my little brother died of SIDS. My mom said that he wasn't vaccinated, which obviously I can't verify. But I also know that SIDS is related to drinking cow's milk. This casomorphin, which kind of sounds like morphine because that's what it is. It's this chemical reaction that you have when you drink cow's milk, and it's made like when a mother nurses her baby, these chemicals are released to solidify that bond and make the baby keep coming back for more, like an addictive chemical reaction that's natural from our creator to do this, right? And humans are doing the same exact thing, like getting addicted to cow's milk. And then the powers that be call us goyim because we're cow children. Like, you're addicted to cow's tit secretions. So, I mean, what else better name would you be called? Anyways, my point was that SIDS is related to drinking cow's milk, and that's really, really quite devastating. I was actually really young, maybe like 3 or something. So personally, growing up, it was never really something that I'm not like saying, like, I didn't have such a connection with him, but my sadness from it came from seeing my mom, because all I've ever wanted was to be a mom, and to see someone that close to me have that experience of losing a child, and like every year on his birthday, and then on the day that he died, it's just like, he also died on April Fool's Day, April 1st. So every year it's basically like this horrible, for my mom at least, it's this horrible day where people are playing practical jokes and her kid is dead. So it's just like really sad. But yeah, it's very unfortunate that people are ignorant. The Bible says that people die from lack of knowledge. And when you look around in the world, it's like, wow, that makes so much sense. I mean, just the mere fact of not knowing what the proper diet is, you're eating yourself to death. So that alone proves that, people die from lack of knowledge. And that's just one agenda of many, right? People that don't know that jabs are bad. They don't know that everything else that is geared towards humans is pretty much bad. If it says it's good for your teeth, it's probably really bad for your teeth. If it's made for your, female business down here, it's probably really bad for you, right? Like tampons and pads having like anti-fertility chemicals associated with them. So yeah. Chad, I agree. It definitely is terrible. I would not wish anybody losing a child on anybody. And it's really, really sad that humans don't make the connection of, stealing cow babies from their mom and how that negatively impacts the other species. Like a cow mom compared to a human mom. Let's just take a gander, okay? First of all, cows are consistently artificially inseminated, right? They are raped pregnant constantly. Do those cows, have the thought of they want to run and kill their child? No, when that child comes out, they still have their maternal instincts for that child. And when the farmer comes and tries to take the child away, they have an issue with it. Whereas humans, they want to try to make all excuses in the book to try to slaughter their unborn children. And I understand that there is so much programming going on in this department. I just cannot, like, at a soul level, wrap my mind around it, because I want to be a mom so desperately. But I understand, like, even from using the word fetus, right, or embryo, all of these words that are used to label the baby rather than calling it a baby, right? It's a clump of cells, it's a parasite, it's not alive, all of this stuff, to emotionally detach women to make it easier for them to go and kill their unborn children. So I do understand that there's not only that, but the world is very far from perfect, and being in a situation where you are constantly struggling to make ends meet, where you see nothing but darkness, can also, drive women to go down that route. But I personally, like, am hardcore, like, no abortion whatsoever. I've read stories even about, like, women that are raped that that have the baby and they love the baby still because the baby is part of them. Even ectopic pregnancies where the baby isn't being grown in the right position, wherever. It's like all of these things that they try to use as justification for killing children really are not justification, really, for shedding innocent blood. I personally believe that at the moment of conception, like that is when a new soul is tied together with that new DNA that's being formed by the mother and the child, or the mother and the father's DNA coming together, right? Their DNA creates this new baby's DNA. So just by having separate DNA, it's not the mother's body. Anyways, this happens at birth, or at conception, and the safest place for a child should be in the mother's womb. Nezzy says, is baby formula cow's milk? A lot of them, I think you can get some that are like soy based or cow's milk based. It really depends. I personally don't trust formula. I don't trust baby foods. I don't trust anything that comes from them. So as far as when it comes to like my future babies, I already have some stuff in my Amazon wish list of like baby foods for making your own. And primarily, I'm just going to be feeding them fruits and vegetables other than my breast milk, because I don't trust them as far as I could throw them, especially to create foods or even like a diaper, anything that they design for us. I want to try to avoid as much as possible just because I don't trust them. So Fly Panther says they've put the mRNA jabs in the lineup for newborns. Wow. That's crazy. I've read some horror stories too of people that go in and basically say they want they want to do delayed cord clamping, or they don't want to do circumcision. And one of the stories I read about the cord clamping was like the doctor verified that the dad wanted to cut the cord and that they were going to wait. And then the dad was like waiting for it, and the doctor did it right in front of his eyes prematurely. Like the whole idea of going into a hospital to give birth is like stressful enough, but then after you give birth to have these nurses pestering you and saying like, can we go chop up your son's penis, or like, is that okay now? Like, no, you have to start to fight a battle when you're trying to recover from whatever torture they just put you through. Because usually, I don't necessarily want to say usually, but like a lot of times things go towards a C-section when they really don't need to. Complications happen when they really don't need to. And I'll just say that hospitals make a lot more money off of C-sections than they do off of natural births. And that's one reason why they're promoted so much. Big Pharma isn't about natural anything. They're about jabbing you. They're about stabbing you, ripping out body parts, and anything unnatural. And especially if it's going to make you a repeat customer, then that's what they're about, right? The whole idea of a C-section is like a major surgery, like chopping your body open, and then you have to try to recover from that. You're probably going to be on pain meds, which means, your baby is consuming that through your milk. It's just a horrible, horrible situation. And I feel bad for people that go into the hospital and then, they get dragged into this unnatural birthing experience when they could have just stayed home and it would have been perfectly beautiful, even more beautiful than any. Like, I really fantasize about being a mom and having the childbirth and all this really fun stuff. Dr. Fustercluck, hello, says, hi, Mennonite Amish have good health outcomes, no autoimmune trouble. Yep, the unjabbed, right? It's interesting. When I was just home, I learned that the Amish have a set period of time. I'm not sure what it's called. They have a name for it. Rumspringa or something like that. Anyways, there is a time beginning at the age of 16, I think is what it's saying. Anyways, they have this certain period of time basically where you are allowed to go out and party and try to get it out of your system and do whatever. And one of my friends that I saw was actually working as a cab service type thing for them and was making a lot of money off of it. So I was kind of surprised that they had that. But anyways, that's about the Amish. Plaid Panther says, this is endgame stuff, black belt level, black pill, put on the full armor of God. The scientifically probable fact that there's a separate electrodynamic signature even before the separate heartbeat inside the mother's womb proves the baby is a separate, distinct human life. Yes, yes, yes. Chad says, I stay far away from hospitals. Absolutely agreed. Hospitals, dentists, anything that is them, just if you want to survive, avoid them as much as possible. In the golden age, I definitely want to have, hospitals and doctors and dentists, but revamping the whole medical industry so that it is natural, so that, for one, dentistry and the doctor, they're linked together. Your teeth are linked to other body parts. When you have issues in your teeth, they're correlated with issues in other body parts. So it should be like a holistic, treatment, and not just a physical, but on a spiritual level as well. Like there's not just physical reasons why we have the issues that we do. There are spiritual reasons as well. There are, as they used to say back in the day, oh, they thought that when you were sick, you had demons in you. Well, yeah, that actually is the truth. Like the people in the past knew so much more than we do today. And thankfully, many of us are waking up to find that lost knowledge so that we can change the future. We have the power to change the future, and that is really exciting. So hopefully you guys are dreaming of a golden age with me. There is only one slate that is the earth. There's only one canvas, and if everybody takes their pen and starts drawing on the canvas, it's gonna just turn out to be a mess. But if we are unified in what we are trying to produce on this canvas, then we can create something beautiful, right? So trying to unify people in dreaming of the same future is something that I have been trying to get at for a while now. And ultimately, willpower is what manifests this reality alone. So yeah, Dr. Fustercluck, whatever the heck your name is. Sugar rots your teeth. And there's also nutritional deficiencies that are linked with cavities as well. So I recommend oil pulling for anybody that has dental issues, and not to go to anybody in the medical industry, because they literally make money off of you coming into their office. You think that there's any incentive for them to say, hey, you can heal yourself by not coming in here? You can heal your teeth by not having me dig out half of it, that really fun, fun cavity filling experience where they do all that poking and prodding. Yeah, anyways. All right, I think I'm going to get off of here for today. I have had a fun time catching up with you guys, and I'm hoping to be back here with you on Sunday. What do I have going on next week? I don't think. I'm having a full moon vegan festival on Wednesday, the 13th, up on Mount Shasta at Old Ski Bowl. If you Google Old Ski Bowl trailhead, it'll take you to, the top of Everett Memorial Highway, dead ends in a parking lot. And it'll be really hard for you to miss me, because I bring up a big buffet. Like I bring up 3 or 4 tables. I have some blue tablecloths. I have some actual buffet catering equipment that's on top of Mount Shasta. So my point is that you can't miss me. And for anybody who can make it out, I would love to meet you in real life and have a cup of tea with you and chat around the campfire. So I think I will be able to come live on a Sunday. I'm going to have to be cooking. I cook the whole week leading up to the event. It's really a lot of things for me to do, but I should be here on Sunday at noon. So stay tuned for that and catch up with me on Facebook. Until then, may God and the goddess bless you.